Tilted Towers is arguably Fortnite's most popular location ever, and the introduction of Tilted Towers genuinely changed the course of Fortnite history. This location has changed so much over its near 6-year history, going from just your standard suburban city to being destroyed, and then a future city, and even a Wild West version. The evolution of Tilted Towers has honestly been crazy to watch pan out in front of our own eyes, and today we are going to trace that evolution back from its introduction almost 6 years ago to Tilted's current state and its return in Fortnite Reloaded. If you go on to enjoy this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, use code TYFRYZ in the Fortnite item shop if you'd like to support my channel, and let me know in the comments if you'd like to see me make a series out of this and what POI I should do next. Let's just get right into it. Tilted Towers was brought and introduced into the Fortnite universe on January 18th of 2018 with update v2.2.0. This update, of course, happened in Season 2, and in my opinion was Fortnite's first ever major update. This update didn't just bring along Tilted Towers, but it also brought other POIs, including a fan favorite, Shifty Shafts. But Tilted Towers was clearly the standout and was an instant hit. Every lobby after this update, you could almost guarantee that there would be at least 20 to 30 people dropping Tilted Towers every single game. It was really the biggest POI to date, excluding of course something like Loot Lake. And Tilted Towers quickly became the favorite drop spot of almost every popular streamer. If you wanted to get good action and constant fighting, you were going to drop Tilted Towers. You could almost guarantee that any stream or YouTube video you were going to turn on in this era was going to take place in Tilted. There were so many great places within the POI to drop, which are now parts of the map that we consider iconic. I'm looking at you, No Sweat Insurance Building, and Clock Tower. Tilted would honestly remain pretty dormant all the way through Season 3 up until Season 4. With the introduction of Season 4, we actually saw the office building get absolutely clobbered by a small meteor. It basically wiped out half this building, and if you remember, there were actually hop rocks inside the crater in Tilted. And this really just started the destruction of Tilted Towers, as we'll see throughout this video. In update v4.10, construction would begin at the crash site, and by the time update v4.20 rolled around, the crater was totally covered up. And nothing really happened to Tilted for a couple of updates, that is until update v4.50, which introduced a new building that would be under construction in a vacant building spot. This building today is known as the Sporting Goods Shop. Nothing really happened throughout Season 5, that is until update v5.40 when the construction of the Sporting Goods Shop had officially finished. But just a week after the Sporting Goods Shop was constructed and looked great, the Cube live event actually came and totally destroyed the Sporting Goods Shop, just went right through it. The Sporting Goods Shop remained wrecked all through Season 6, and the only changes throughout Season 6 was just the wooden fence that surrounded the destroyed Sporting Goods Shop. With the introduction of Season 7 and update 7.0, Tilted Towers would now be covered in snow, and in my opinion, this is the best it has ever looked. When Tilted is in snow, it is a good time. As well as this, the construction of the news building would be underway, and in update v7.10, construction would continue to advance, and the same thing for update v7.20. The news building would actually finish construction just an update later, and to no surprise, in update 7.40, the news building was destroyed by an earthquake. At this point, you can tell it kind of became a run-on joke that this building just kept getting built up and destroyed as soon as it was done. And of course, this is nowhere near the end of the destruction that we would see of Tilted Towers. With the introduction of Season 8 came the introduction of the No Sweat Insurance Building, which of course we all know today. The No Sweat Insurance Building was done in just a couple of updates, but in the largest turn of events we have probably ever seen in Fortnite, the unvaulting event happened and unvaulted the drum gun, but that is not the problem here. After the unvaulting event, the volcano totally erupted and exploded, and with this eruption came the entire destruction and demolition of Tilted Tilted Towers. But there was one building that remained, and of course that was the No Sweat Insurance building, the same building that had been broken 2 or 3 times previously. Tilted had been hinted at being destroyed seasons ago. We saw in season 3 and 4 with the live event, the Rocket live event, they had the red beam pointed straight at Tilted Towers, but it was saved. But here we are, and Tilted Towers was destroyed, but the No Sweat Insurance building survived. And no doubt the biggest update to Tilted came in season 9, which totally rebuilt the entire city up from the ground, but instead of Tilted Towers, it was now known as Neo Tilted. Neo Tilted was a beautiful, brand new, futuristic city that loosely kept the same design and layout as the original Tilted Towers. And we honestly didn't see any changes of Neo Tilted throughout season 9. That was the only change for season 9, was just the addition of Neo Tilted, and in my opinion it was an overhated location. I think Neo Tilted would be so sick if it came back. Slipstreams were scattered throughout and all around Tilted, allowing for great mobility, and I really enjoyed Neo Tilted as a whole. And in the following season, of course season X, Neo Tilted was replaced by Tilted Town. And if you'll remember, Tilted Town was a rift zone in season X, and all the rift zones had specific qualities unique to just that zone. Was rebranded into an Old West style location where there was no building allowed and all items were all Old West themed. And later in that season, Tilted Town would then be replaced by Gotham City. Again, Gotham City, of course being a collab with the Batman series, did loosely follow the setup of Tilted Towers, so I will consider it here in this video. Gotham City was barely in the game, but was a great location and was the perfect mixture of a collab location mixed with a old POI we all know and love. But of course, as we know, with the end of Season X and the introduction of Chapter 2 Season 1 came an entire new Fortnite map, and only a couple locations from the old map continued over into the new chapter, and unfortunately Tilted Towers was not one of them. While I guess you could technically consider Lazy Lake part of it, as it did have a similar layout, I personally will not be considering Lazy Lake as the reintroduction of Tilted Towers, as it has an entirely different name and is just too dissimilar for me. We had to wait 5 seasons in Chapter 2, but with Chapter 2 Season 5 came the introduction of Salty Towers. Salty Towers was placed right in the sand desert biome of Chapter 2 Season 5 and is exactly what it sounds like, just a combination of salty springs and Tilted Towers. I personally was not a big fan of this location, but I know a lot of people are, as it combined 2 of the most iconic locations ever in Fortnite. Salty Towers came and went through Chapter 2 Season 5, and Chapter 2 Season 6 is interesting because we got Bony Burbs. Now, of course, Bony Burbs is not Tilted Towers, but we did see a lot of similar traits between the two. In fact, the clock tower was actually added into Bony Burbs, and you could clearly tell that Bony Burbs was trying to be the Tilted of Chapter 2 Season 6, so I thought that I would give it a mention here in this video. With that being said though, Bony Burbs is extremely forgettable and just is a total disservice to Tilted Towers and its legacy. The story of Tilted though goes kind of quiet until Chapter 3 Season 1, and with update V19, Frosty Fields is then added, and this location has ice blocks which of course mimic the buildings in Tilted Towers. And just one update later, the ice on Frosty Fields melted and revealed Tilted Towers itself, and the city was actually completely redesigned and even contained 20 more chests, if you can believe it. And just a couple of updates into the reintroduction of Tilted and Chapter 3 Season 1, the coffee shop west of Tilted Towers experienced earthquakes and then caved into the ground due to drilling by the IO, or the Imagined Order. And this was just a hint of what was to come, because in Chapter 3 Season 2 with update V20, Tilted fell under the occupation of the IO, which made the entire POI an IO ruled location, which had tents, vehicles, equipments, turrets, all that stuff was set up there and defended the POI. POI. Furthermore, actually, if you'll remember, a big IO blimp was stationed right above Tilted. But with update v20.30, most of Tilted was destroyed. Of course, not as much as we saw with the Chapter 1 Season 8 update, but a lot was destroyed. Alongside this update, we saw that the 7 were victorious and actually captured Tilted, and the IO blimp above crashed near Loot Lake. And skipping ahead to Chapter 3 Season 3, it was a pretty tame time for Tilted Towers, and basically the entire season just included rebuilding Tilted. But we saw the introduction of a new building with update v21.10, and with the No Sweat Summer update, funding stations were put around Tilted. New buildings actually designed by players from the block were added, and we saw the restaurant that was designed in the block by Ben Mack was being built in Tilted Towers, and the apartment designed in the block by Charlie Brown, no, not that Charlie Brown, was being built in Tilted Towers. And by update v21.40, the entirety of Tilted Towers was rebuilt, and that was it for Chapter 3 Season 3. Chapter 3 Season 4 saw some more changes with the No Sweat Insurance building. Of course, we all know that building being lifted off the ground, and eventually the No Sweat Insurance building has left Tilted Towers. We saw the flare ship was moved to Tilted Towers. Of course, Halloween decorations, that stuff that we'll see throughout these POIs, they get a remodeling sometimes with decorations. And by update v22.40, Chrome had reached Tilted Towers, which converted the name from Tilted Towers to Tainted Towers. And that's actually the last we saw of Tilted for a while, and with the introduction of Chapter 4, the only thing we got in Chapter 4 Season 1 was, if you remember, the clock tower inside of Cold Cavern, that big mountain icy hill. The clock tower was actually found there, sticking out of the ground. And that was it for quite a while until the introduction of Chapter 4 Season OG, and of course, you knew when they had Season OG they had to bring back Tilted Towers, and that's exactly what they did. But it wasn't the original Tilted Towers from v2.2.0 that we spoke about earlier. It was an altered version of Tilted Towers from update v5.40, and the biggest change was the Castle Tower was then replaced by the No Sweat Insurance building, and here he is again, the No Sweat Insurance building. This location was only in the game for about a month, as Season OG was really short, and of course after this Chapter 4 ended, we never got to see Tilted again until just recently. We never saw in Chapter 5 Season 1 or 2. But recently, and as of recording this video just 3 or 4 days ago, we got the introduction of Fortnite Reload, and to no surprise, Tilted Towers is there smack dab in the middle. It is the place to be in that game mode. Everybody goes there. And that's where we stand currently. We don't really know how long Fortnite Reload will be in the game for, and therefore how long Tilted will be in the game. Of course, Tilted is not on the Chapter 5 original map, and there's no hints to it ever being added to that map. So at this point, I guess we'll just have to wait and see, but this location has probably the most rich history and tumultuous history of any location ever, and is a staple of not only just Fortnite, but video gaming history. I mean, go on Wikipedia. There's even a Wikipedia page of Tilted Towers. But guys, that is it. That is the entire history of Tilted Towers, if you can believe it. Let me know if you would like to see me do this with another location, and be sure to like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed this style of video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.